Whenever I make this soup, the bowls are almost licked clean. It's a really hearty, comforting soup made with lamb shanks, which make the broth, root vegetables and barley. And I like to do it in two parts. I make the stock the day before and then I finish the soup off the next day. And I don't know where you live, but where we live, it's turning into real soup weather. And this is how you do it. So I have two lovely lamb shanks here and they're quite big. So that's about 1.2 kilos. And now what I do is brown them. And once that's got a little bit of heat to it, then I just cover the base with a bit of olive oil. And I'll let them brown thoroughly on both sides. And once they've got some lovely colour in them, all I do is add some water. And that's 2 litres of water. And here I've got a bouquet garni. I just buy it like this, the sachets. Most recipes don't have the bouquet garni, but I like it. And once it does come to the boil, I just reduce the heat to low and cover it and then gently simmer it until the lamb shanks are tender. So this has been boiling away for about 90 minutes. Well, just really gently simmering, and it's very tender. So it's showing hardly any resistance when I poke it with a skewer. So now I just turn it off and wait for it to cool down enough to put in the fridge. So it's the next day and you'll notice that a layer of fat has formed. So just remove that, and this is one of the reasons I like cooking the lamb the day before. And it's not necessary to remove every skerrick. Then remove the lamb shanks to a bowl and discard the bouquet garni if you used one. Now I'm going to add another litre of water to bump up the stock. And now this goes on the stove and we bring that to the boil. In the meantime, you'll need some pearl barley for this recipe. Now, pearl barley is not gluten-free, but in the recipe on the website, I'll leave an alternative if you want to make it gluten-free. And the alternative I use instead of barley is buckwheat kernels, but these don't take long to cook, so I don't add them until the end with the lamb and the cabbage. But with the pearl barley, a little goes a long way. So measure out 1/3 of the cup, which equates to 70 grams of pearl barley. And now it's really important to rinse it and then set them aside for a moment. So the soup is going to taste really bland right now because there's no seasoning. So what I like to do now is season the stock before I add the pearl barley. And I do this because I can taste it. But even if you're not gluten-free, now's a good time to season it. So once it's nearing the boil, it's more palatable to taste, because when it's cold, it's just cold, bland stock. It needs quite a bit of salt, but just taste it and salt it how you like it. If I could eat this soup with barley, I would, because barley is what makes it delicious. So add the washed barley to the pot. Then reduce the heat and simmer it uncovered gently for 1 hour. But make sure it's bubbling away, but gently. And you will need to skim the scum that arises from the surface. If you get a bowl and wet your spoon and remove the scum and then put it back in the bowl, it gives you a clean spoon each time. Now let that gently simmer for 1 hour, and in the meantime I'll prepare the vegetables. And this is what I use for a Scotch broth, which I believe are quite traditional. A turnip, an onion, a couple of carrots, 1 big or 1.5 sticks of celery, and a leek. And everything should be cut up nice and small. Now leeks are notorious for containing some dirt, so I like to really rinse them properly first. Discard this piece or use it in a stock. And I'll just remove the tough outer layer. Cut it in half lengthways. Because I want this quite small, I'll cut it in half again lengthways. And I place all of this in a sieve or a colander and rinse it well. Just ensures that there's no dirt in the leeks. So the last thing that I finally slice up, well, pretty fine, not too fine, is a quarter of a cabbage. And this was quite a large cabbage, so just a quarter of a small cabbage. But I keep this separate to the other vegetables because this goes in at the end with the lamb. And that's all the vegetables. A little bit of chopping, but not too bad. And in the meantime, I take the lamb off the lamb shanks and cut it up into small pieces, and then I'm just going to pop it in the fridge because we don't add this till the last 15 minutes or so. And this is super tender. And just chop the lamb up into fairly small pieces. So the barley's been cooking in the stock now for 1 hour. And it's starting to swell up, but it's still got a bit more cooking time. And you'll notice that the stock has really reduced, but that's okay because we can always add more water if we think it's too thick at the end. But what happens now is all the vegetables go in. And once it comes back to the boil, set a timer for 30 minutes and just reduce the heat to a steady simmer. And what's really lovely to sprinkle over the top is some fresh parsley. So just chop up some and have it ready. So after the vegetables have been simmering away for 30 minutes, the barley should be really plumped up and cooked by now. And if you take a skewer or a knife, the vegetables should show hardly any resistance. And I like this soup really thick. That's how I serve it. And now I get the lamb shanks that have been cut up and the cabbage. And I'm going to cook this now for about 15 more minutes. But it is so thick and it needs some boiling water. So what I've done is I've boiled the kettle and I'll just add about a half a cup or so of boiling water or a bit more. And to help get it going quicker, I'll put the lid on, just leaving it ajar slightly. And I'll check on it in a few minutes. And after 15 minutes, the cabbage should have broken down and it's ready to plate up. And now is the time to taste it for seasoning, for salt and pepper. It is really thick. I might add just a little bit more water. And this is a soup that tastes better the next day. So it tastes really good now, but if you were to have this the next day, it tastes even better because all the lamb breaks down and it just melds all those flavours into one another. Now if you like, you can add a bit of Parisian essence if you like it a bit darker in colour, and all that does is makes the soup a little bit darker. It doesn't add any flavour, but I quite like it like this, nice and natural. A little sprinkle of parsley. And there you have it, a beautiful, healthy, nutritious, delicious soup that, you know, I'm sure you'll come back to again and again if you've never made this one. It is such a comfort food. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully I'll see you again soon.